gonna start recording. Hey, look, we're recording. Welcome. What was the question you just asked?
Mine?
Yeah.
How would we be doing harvesting for? Are we doing that in different regions? Like, are we allowing, like, if someone's in, say, in Baruja, are we allowing, like,
They have to be in the region that they're harvesting in.
Okay. All right. That would answer.
Yeah. Yep. No. You cannot wear more than one item per slot. With the exception being rings, because there's 2 ring slots. One for each hand. So yeah.
We should go through Legacy's list first before getting sidetracked.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
All right, Nerp, regale us with any updates on your end.
Making progress with the structure listing. I've added a whole bunch of content to it. Just clarifying some wording and basically just going through some of my old homebrew, making sure it's up to snuff. But it's getting close to being released. That's what I've been doing. Things have been slow progressing because whenever I'm at work, it's just been doing nothing. Though last 2 days of work, I've been actually able to work on stuff while at work. So progression has increased. And come Tuesday, when I will be doing my grave shift, I will be probably working the entirety of the grave shift on non-grave shift related stuff, because it's that kind of job. But yeah, progress has been made. Mostly just been working on updates. I did go through the questions listing when I was at work because I was really bored. And
Right, suggestion box time. Hang on.
Yeah. There's only so much I can do at work because I can't get too involved sometimes in evening shift. So answering questions is something I could do. I also could do downtime, but I didn't think about it at the time, so I probably should have done downtime because that's something we need help with. So hindsight, 2020. I've been trying to fuck up my schedule for a bit now. I keep waking up at like 9 a.m. It's not working. I need to get some blackout curtains to help out, though. Currently, there's sun pouring into my room, making it difficult.
Bet it's sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, whenever I go camping, I always wake up at like 6 a.m. And I come back home.
Box is clear. Besides continuing balanced discussions on some of the suggestions brought up previously, alright, next we'll go to SOC's first topic.
Sounds good.
Static parties in higher tiers, and handling character deaths therein.
Should we handle the suggestion box forum postings in this area or later?
The forum postings that are just like in the forum? In the Discord?
Yeah. No, the Discord ones. Not the forum one.
Oh, which ones are you wanting to handle? I have 3 that I've yet to respond to from the looks of it. Or no,
true, I forget about 5. The forum. Give me a SEC to check.
Yeah.
I've
just some
gone
of
through
the
a couple.
Typos.
There's
some typos on Wizard.
Gotcha.
For Wizard, so far, it seems people are satisfied with where it's at. Just some concerns about the level 5 feature with the bonus action.
Yeah, I'm going to change that to be the, whenever you take the spellcasting action, you can bonus action cast a cantrip, and then at 9th level will be the full bonus action. The intention was it was kind of like the arcane version of extra attack.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing Bladesinger gets?
Bladesinger that gets to an attack, and they can change one of their attack actions into a cantrip.
Mm-hmm. So they're kind of like a spell sword.
Yeah.
You saw the sorcerer post.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the typos one I haven't looked at. I have it marked as unread. I also haven't looked at taboos. That one's going to be a bit more of an in-depth thing, I feel, for me to respond to. And I have looked at Brace, but there's been new messages in Brace since then. I'll be updating the wording of
Taboos
Brace.
is more just work on each of the regions and putting out taboos.
Yeah.
That's just
Speaking
what
of the
request
forum,
is.
this is a decent time to discuss how we want to handle threads inside of it. Once they've been seen, should we add a tag for discussing, accepted, or denied?
Well, most of those we go over on a Sunday, so even if you do give them a tag, we would have to. It would have to be on the Sunday.
Yeah. I think, as they're saying, just on Sunday, if it's been approved, then we just slap it down there. So give them a tag, yeah.
In less nerf during the week says, "Hey, this is how it goes." Then
I mean, anything I say during the week, feel free to bring up. It's
And
just
I think
me.
it would be an easier way to sort them, because I just realized, just looking at it from the forum view, it's really a headache trying to tell which is which.
Yeah, I don't have much issue, but I also have 2 monitors, and my monitors are really freaking big, so it's easy to see certain things. But if I'm posting anything, it is just quick hot fixes, and they're open to discussion. So it's, don't take my edits as law. It's just me being like, I don't want us to wait a month to do something like in the past. If there's an issue, we fix it when we can.
at least the good news is we haven't had anything that's needed immediate.
Yeah, nothing's like
Fix-
firehouse.
Yeah, like that's been a good thing for us is we haven't had anything that's needed immediate. Like, oh shit, all hands on deck.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
nice.
my saying a month was very conservative. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we haven't had anything explosive since the Master Craftsman discussion.
Mhm.
Which has been good.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of those tags are good. They'll just have to wait till a Sunday when we actually have time to go over them fully because a lot of that is balance, which requires a lot of us to be here.
Yeah. But in terms of the other suggestions that we have in the box, I know there's been like the bedroom structure, increased point cost, sorcerers, oracle thoughts, a bunch of other things I've been looking at. I've read the majority of these. The ones I have not read are the Braced list of taboos and typo wordings, and that's because Braced I have read some of it, but I haven't finished the most recent posts. Basically, they're on my radar. I'm going to be giving them updates. Sorcerer, I mean, I already kind of touched on that a little bit, but it's next on the list probably after the structures update. Someone wants to take a crack at it, but you guys are free to work on stuff and send them my way. I'll plop them on World Anvil or give some touches.
Okay, added 3 new tags. In consideration is when we've discussed it on Sunday and it's being discussed internally, like in balance thread. Accepted is we're intending to implement it in some form, does not mean we accept it directly. Might be reworded or changed. Denied means the suggestion is not being worked on.
Drink chat, buddy, I know. Yeah, I think those are pretty solid. It's a triple mark. Mm-hmm. Could also just use since to avoid using big words, we could use like yes, no, maybe. Now maybe is probably a little too vague. Scene works. Yeah. Hmm. Scene, pending, either one works. Just to avoid using too large of a word, although I mean accepted, denied, and in consideration work. Though in consideration, just for coding purposes, I tend to avoid double words. Just because if you're going to code it, you're probably gonna have to add like an underscore, and that gets a little finicky. Or just like combine the words. It's unnecessary. Yeah. So using scene or pending is better. So I think if we're going to be using yes and no, I think scene is probably the better one, just to keep them very short. Yeah.
How have the forums been in terms of being able to contain and follow discussion, by the way,
Oh, they've been
for
very
those
good.
who have read through them?
Very good. The form is a nice change, I feel.
Oh, something that was brought up, embraced, that I wanted to bring up now was we should look at a change to charge
Mhm.
and making it double movement instead of single movement. Because right now it's just not being utilized because
I mean, it gives you a free movement and an attack.
well, here's the thing. You're moving your full speed.
Mhm.
You can move your full speed anyway on your turn.
But you're
And then you can
essentially getting a dash action and attack in one action.
You're not getting a dash.
Yes, you are. Because you can move your speed and then attack with one action.
So you're not using movement whenever you do that.
What are you talking about?
So
You're not using your base movement. You're basically doing your move action that you can charge with your action. So you dash and attack in one action.
It's so charges one action. It doesn't take up your.
okay,
economy.
maybe that's what I got.
Yeah, it's
confused.
one action which lets you move your speed and attack using the one action. So it's combining both the dash action and the attack action, or single attack, into one action using stamina. You can still use your basic movement. So it effectively lets you move once. If you have bonus action dash, you can move a second time, and if you action charge, you can move a third time and attack once at the end of that movement, or anywhere in the middle of that movement.
Yeah, essentially, it doesn't take away your move action,
Mhm.
and it lets you attack.
Yep.
So it saves you on action economy.
Pretty much.
Okay, maybe that's where I got confused because I just read it as move up to your speed, as it taking your movement.
Oh no. It's because it's a part of the action. It's anything part of that action is just part of that action. It doesn't take anything from else.
I mean, we could have put it in Demon, then there does not take up your move action. Just to clarify.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was an issue, so I didn't think I needed to clarify it, but I can clarify it.
You know, like
redundancies.
A little, italicized thing, like, hey,
Yeah.
not use up your move action.
Yeah.
That helps.
So before we move too far ahead, let's mark every current suggestion box thing with each of the tags based on whether we're going to discuss it more in balanced threads or denying them.
All right.
So Master Craftsman Harvester having a level requirement.
That one's already done.
Now one be marked as completed. I just realized I don't know how to add tags. All right. Like in here, I can add tags.
You just right click and then you edit things.
An edit button. Okay, that's just because that one's super old. Okay. I was trying to edit the combined XP progress for civilians, and I was like, there's no option here. I don't know.
Wizard Unchained. Is that still an active conversation, or has everything inside been resolved?
there's still adjustments being made, and people might do more things as play progresses, so I'd keep that one open. So
No, that one probably can't be edited because it's locked. So just go ahead, unlock, retag, lock, and it'll be fine.
that works. Lock. There we go. Alright, but yeah, no, Wizard is pending. Combine the tracking of DTD experience. I'm pretty sure I did that for civilians. Yeah. So I would keep that one open just in case we do think that we should combine it for everyone in general. So that one, just mark it as pending. Mark the list of taboos as pending as well, because I'm still looking at it. Oracle tweaks thoughts. That one's marking as pending. Brace marked as pending. I'm going to change Brace, I just need to do the thing. Dueling rules not for PvP. That one I have looked at. That's something we can definitely discuss, so I'm going to mark that one as pending as well. Sorcerer Thoughts, again, pending. Use points cost for medium armor flight and the martial training. I was going to do that. I have not done that yet, but yeah, I'll just mark it as accepted because we're going to do it. Specify that all raw materials need to be processed before use in equipment document.
That one's new. That
One's
was
new.
just posted.
Yeah, I'll mark that one as pending. I think I read that when I was on shift, but I was very distracted, so I didn't fully. I'm going to mark it as unread and read through it again. Bedroom structure component, that's in the works currently, so I'm just going to mark it as pending for now until it's posted. Typos, wording, grammar, I feel like that's going to be a constant thing that we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, it doesn't need a tag.
Yeah. Suggestion box vac, that's another quick thing, so we're good there. Alright. Cool.
Remember, accepted means you're planning on doing it.
Yes. Yes. Sorcerer thoughts are just thoughts, though right now they're not, like, it's a mixture of things I will be doing and things that are just, like, discussed, so it's pending. But, medium armor flight is definitely being adjusted, so it's accepted. Okay, there we go. That looks like all of them.
The issue with dueling rules right now is, and I'm just talking to the people that are in No Mic, your HP is calculated, everybody is calculated, doesn't matter your level. So it makes it so a first level character may have more HP than a 20th level character.
Yeah, I'll probably be looking into adjusting the values there so they actually scale a bit better. Because right now it does definitely give the ability for like a low character to fight a higher level character without too much issue, which is somewhat intended, but also with the dice values of a high level character, they will probably win. But that's a bit more balance, I'd say. There are some issues with the system. It definitely needs to be touched up upon. Yeah. But this is why we have the you choose which system you want to use, and the session, the PvP runner will take into account the player's opinions in our rule set. So. Yeah, no, I've run a couple duels and they work out pretty well, I feel. Sky's been a couple of them, so I think
It's
you
been
start a couple of them. Yeah. Yeah, we can close Master Craftsman. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be more postings on Master Craftsman in a while. I don't think we've had any duels in the living world at this point in time. Because the only PvP we've had is the one that you've ran thus far, which was not a duel to my knowledge, so. Yeah. I mean, if you want to get real technical, a lot of the homebrew we're using is technically not run in the living world for testing purposes. But, you know, it's... I feel like we probably should have an event, maybe for RP events, that can run some duels just to get people used to those rules. Because on paper, they look a little confusing. But once you get into it, it's just like snap quick, really quick combat. Most of it is like RPing what you're doing, and that flavor inspires the action. It's much more of like a cinematic combat than it is a actual combat.
I can't believe I'm gonna challenge Duke to a duel with pistols at noon with smooth barrels. So that won't actually kill anyone, or just maim you at best.
Yeah, I would hold off on the event until I do the update to it, because I am going to be looking at the HP values and the like, just make sure it's all good. Especially since we have all these new class features and whatnot. So I want to make sure it's all proper. I also need to add my musical combat rules to World Anvil. I made those a while ago, like years ago, and they're not on World Anvil. I noticed that when I was going through things.
God damn it, the devil down in George.
Yes,
For full yeah.
he is. There's combat rules for that. It's fun. The Return of Pink Sabbath, indeed.
The
Yeah,
bards will
and
get their golden fiddles.
That was a great session. The Pink Sabbath run. Anyways, what's next on the agenda?
Blood Wizard things.
Blood Wizard things, yes.
Just my concern, and it's also a concern someone else brought up, is people playing into self-harm while playing a Blood Wizard, and we kind of want to get it in front of that and telling people, no, please don't, because that can be very triggering for people.
It's that's up there with the people wanting to self-sanity.
What did I miss? Discord exploded.
We're just moved on to the Blood Wizard topic.
I'm sorry, what are people doing with the Blood Wizard?
Because of its nature, being a class that utilizes one's own blood to produce effects, there's concerns with self-harm because of the class and the triggering that could cause. Now,
Like, slicing your hand open to cast a spell, that's fine, but I can also see people not understanding that you shouldn't do some other things while
I would say that as
RPing it.
long as they're not going to graphic detail about what they're doing, like, as long as there's, like, if you're sitting there trying to shock value people or something by being close about
Don't
it,
code it in certain ways intentionally and don't be graphic about it.
yeah.
I'm just going to go to the character class and just add a little blurb in italics.
Yeah.
Be wary about, overly
In-depth.
graphic descriptions.
Like, it's okay to say I slash my hand so I can, like, slash my hand.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there talking about, doing things that could trigger certain people who have certain depression issues, that's a whole different ballgame. You don't need to go in that type of detail, especially for
I can hear him.
Yeah,
I also
I've
might
been
have him
at
at 200%.
I can move my mic closer, sorry. Is that better?
Did we skip past static parties and handling character deaths for them?
No, we've not done that part yet.
Is that better?
Yes. I mean, I heard you in the first place, so I'll probably wait for the others to say. Let's see here, blood magic. I'm gonna type this in a notepad because I forgot this is typing so slow.
I mean, yeah, people will be allowed to flavor their stuff the way they would like to. Is just don't go into anything that could trigger someone's traumas.
Basically, as a standard for any triggers, if the group's cool with it, you're fucking golden. If you have someone in the party who has a trigger, stop with the overly graphic stuff. Like, for my games, if someone comes up with them, be like, hey, can you tone down the descriptions? I'm like, yeah, no problem.
It's like the same rule with kids. Don't be overly graphic. Just be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, hey, they died, boom, done, move on.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Now if you like, I don't mind if people in their private games that isn't for everyone to see, like like the voice chat games. If you've already discussed that with your party and your DM and everyone agrees that you're okay to be graphic, that's fine. But don't do it in text. Like if you're talking to each other in voice and it's not recorded or it's not in text, I don't care. But you gotta make sure everyone's cool with it first. Because if we see people run to us because you're being graphic about that in voice too, then we're gonna have to address it. If you're gonna do something like that, you gotta make sure everyone, including your DM, is okay with it.
Alright, and just anytime there's anything relating to blood magic, just pop that trigger warning up. So like the Blood Hunter class as well will be another one. Yeah. Which, as a blanket statement for the community, if something does trigger you, the macros and map tool do have the red light, green light, and raise hand things, so feel free to utilize those as needed. Or you can just like DM your dungeon master if you don't feel comfortable making it very blatant.
You also can't use the red card against skeleton jokes.
Screw you.
For the high tier statics and handling character deaths, something that I can thought of, and it's not going to be a problem until a while, but it's going to be something we're going to have to talk about, is scenarios where someone within the static party gets disintegrated, they're not coming back. Should we allow a higher level character to be rolled for that group, or are we going to force them to find a new player, or is that player going to have to come in level 1 when everyone else is like level 7?
This is definitely a big discussion, I feel, because this does get into the territory, as you say, of potentially bringing in higher level players. Obviously, with a static group, you want to just keep playing together, and if you die and they don't resurrect you, well, that right there means that static group has now been shattered, and they would need to find someone else, which is an issue in most static groups. So it's definitely a discussion to be had.
Like, one of the bonuses of static groups is everyone there vibes, and it's a good group going with how everyone goes.
I thought we had, if I remember, I thought we had the rule that you can make a character back at that level after a certain point to avoid the low level issue.
Currently, the rules on a new character is you start at level 1.
Yeah, I know
Character creation.
In the past, like way back, maybe like a year ago, we had a similar discussion wherein we determined that as the cap increases, the maximum player level cap increases too. Right. So like if your cap is like level 10, you might be able to bring in like level 3 as an example. Like between 1 and 3.
That's
up to
right.
Yeah, that would be better. I'm not asking for coming back or retiring characters just to play a different character at the same level, but
yeah,
having like a level 1 and like a party of level 7.
What I think is if they can still be resurrected, they should be encouraged to try and reincarnate /revenant. The
The issue
complete
comes.
disintegration, I would not be opposed to some kind of comeback where you don't retain inventory but can at least come in.
So the big thing with Revenant is that they could come back even if disintegrated as a Revenant. They're a ghost, essentially. So that is still viable even with disintegration. It does mean that they will have to achieve a resurrection quest to resurrect. And anytime someone does go to Revenant to become the resurrection quest, there's a time limit on that Revenant. If that time limit is not achieved, they will have to do normal means to resurrect. Which we discussed this way back in the past. We'll probably should reiterate it now and go into more detail as play is actually begun. But I think in terms of static groups, to allow them to play with static groups of like high level play, so like, you know, if you're level 5 and you're coming in with a level 1, that's going to feel pretty bad. You're probably going to level up really quickly. But this is just going to get worse and worse, especially if like we hit like level 12 and someone comes in with level 1. That's not really viable at that point. You're just a squishy and you're going to get popped with any single attack. So I think we should have a rule set, something that we can work on in balance to allow static groups to come in at proper level. Maybe like expenditure of prestige, maybe expenditure of influence, something that will allow them to come in with their group.
I would say it'd probably have to be in the nature of taking multiple people's expenditures.
I was agreeing, yeah. Agreeing, yeah.
The nice part as we keep going on is, right, like if you are in a static and your player does die and decide to become a Revenant, because no one wants their character to actually die, right? The static is more than likely going to help them on their quest to not.
Before we go any further, does anyone have any objections for us to have some kind of a join at higher level mechanic?
Huh?
It basically you start your character at a higher level.
Okay. So this is true. It would be something that only stacks would have benefit of. So I do think having some form of things that non-stacks can work with could work well too.
But this is also a bigger issue for static groups. And
it's 100% an issue for static groups that needs to be addressed. For non-static groups, it's like,
It's just unfair if you're not a static group.
Yeah.
Not the biggest fan of bringing back at level 1 if you lose your character. That just kind of feels bad. A lot of lost for just anyone, but
yeah. I mean, what we want to be doing is encouraging static groups. Obviously, we have players who just can't join static groups for whatever reason, whether that's like time zone differences, or maybe their schedule changes every week, so they just can't get into games in a static time frame. But our main goal is to encourage people to be in static groups.
And that's a good incentive to get them there.
It would be a pretty good incentive, but
I mean, Sky, that's saying like, oh yeah, your friend just died, they get to not play with you anymore, and this group that's vibing, you're going to have to find someone else. Yeah. That's like against what the static group is for.
The static group is to reproduce the traditional feeling of D&D games in the living world. So they're not intended to get new players in that group. That's why we have the full-time DMs who can choose to get static groups.
My thought for just for resurrection.
That's what a party is, a click.
Yeah. My thought for resurrection is food for thought is whatever level that character's at for like tier wise, just have them make their new character at the lowest possible for that tier. So if they're like level 7, make them make like a tier 2 low, like level 5 character. If they're tier 1 and they die at 3, make them go back to 1, etc. So at least that way it's not like a full resetting. At least they're still retaining the same tier they're in. They just take a minor hit.
I can see that.
I would be fine with that for like everyone, outside of some situations where like someone levels up to 5, retires a character to bring in another character at level 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
obviously,
yeah.
if there's things of that's meta where you just fucking slap them.
Yeah. Like, I'm fine with that just being the base rule for everyone, and not just statics. Just statics brings this more to the forefront.
So, while you say that, I actually think that's not a bad thing. So, this is where my thought's coming from. If everybody in the world is at level 5, and all the DMs are running level 5 content, if that person was to retire, they would have no content. So, even though they get to make a whole new character, of course they don't have any reputation, they don't have any prestige, they don't have all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they're starting fresh, yeah. But
retirement ain't giving you back, hell nah. In fact, if you can be revived normally, a static should be encouraged to go on a resurrection quest instead of giving up and making a new character.
Yeah,
so they feel more invested.
I'm specifically speaking towards if everything is being run at that level, it makes it a lot easier for them to come back even if they retire at that level than it does for, hey, let's drop this down and now you have to find a DM that's running 1 to 2s.
Yeah, and we might have
Make
the issue
a
of
balanced
people
team
getting
thread
left
for this.
behind. Like they didn't quite hit level 5 while everyone else is level 5, and there's just not games for them to get up, and they're trudging through downtime day.
I think before we get into too much weeds.
Anyhow, remember again, this will be discussed for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is a long form issue, something that will not be an issue for a while. But before we get into too much weeds, I do want to hear Sky's concerns, since they are very vocal about their concerns here. As they tippy tappy, so I shall wait.
I mean, I agree with Sky on that one.
Yeah, I mean, part-time DMs will be able to handle any
Well,
low-level stuff that happens.
I bet it's skipping levels. I agree with Sky on that one.
Well, okay. We have to acknowledge that, look, no one likes playing D&D at level 1. It's awful. It is god-awful.
I love playing D&D at level 1.
And we don't want to run into an issue where people are speedrunning people's games because they just do not want to be there. They want to be out of it.
Yes. So I'm definitely in the same opinion with you, Sky. I fucking love low-level play. I prefer starting at the first level. You know my games, I always start at level 1. Even people are like, I don't want to be level 3. I'm like, no. I don't like the idea of D&D doesn't start to level 3 either. The issue here is not that we're skipping levels. It is, if we're talking about like a level 12 static group, the group is designed to be full on. They're just a group of friends playing together in the living world, which is what we're wanting. And one of them dies and is unable to get resurrected. It is unviable for that player who has now lost a character to come in as level 1 character in a group of level 12s. They are not at all effective in any of the missions at that point in time. They are just there to be a pretty face, mechanically speaking.
Probably more detrimental than anything.
Probably, yeah, they're probably actually getting into dangerous situations where they're just going to get murdered, and then players have to constantly try to save them from the shenanigans that they're pulling. And since we are encouraging and actively wanting static groups, this is an issue that needs to be addressed.
And it's like more so on the moon of losing your characters. Like, you can't play with your friends anymore.
Exactly.
Like in normal D&D, you would just be bringing in a new character to play with that group.
Mm.
Here, you'd be like, I can't play with you anymore.
So, if we were larger, I would actually say that static groups should have an alternate or 2 alternates, if possible.
Yeah.
Because that makes it to where, yeah, if someone dies, they can't get back into the game. You at least have an alternate to step in while that person is leveling back up their character. And I would assume at that point we would also have a lot faster leveling system for lower levels. But yeah, like a bench sub essentially, and it keeps static groups from getting overly cliquish and retaining the power that they currently have.
Somewhat the point of static groups
Well,
is they are.
I'm not saying that clicks are bad. I'm saying that,
I mean,
you don't want people to retain power all the time, especially if there's no consequences.
I think, as Shadow was saying, once the world scale increases, things that we already discussed in the past, wherein the level cap can adjust, could work well. Or at least just maybe an increase in experience gain. Because I do know starting level 1 is kind of like
or
an origin thing, and like I agree with Sky that skipping levels is an issue.
the increased downtime day XP could help in lower levels once we go up a tier world-wise.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a few things that we could do that would either make that between of say, hey, my character dies, I'm unable to resurrect, which is very niche of a situation anyway. Because you can take out a piece of hair, have some cleric just cast, I forget what that spell is, and then you
Reincarnate.
reincarnate off a piece of hair. It's not a difficult thing to do, and that's essentially low level. The border issue is say soul reaving and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah. I know this is a niche issue, but it's one that we need on our radar.
Yeah.
The big benefit of coming back and not the same level as the party is that if they are lower level, they actually have a modifier to their experience gain if they're in a high level group, which is already listed on our XP level rules system. So they will be gaining levels faster if they're in a high level mission. It's just, will they survive? But if we do the idea that was suggested wherein they come in at the lowest available level for the tier of play, I think that won't be an issue. But this is something that we can definitely get into more discussions around, have more debate about what we're actually going to be doing with it. But it is a concern for statics in high level play. Though in high level play, they might just be able to resurrect and have no issue.
So what I meant here was everybody always gains a flat amount of XP from missions, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody starts out, let's say, like 500 XP lower than the next party member up, everybody always gains 10 XP at the same time, and there's no gap closing from the person who died and got lower XP than got to a lower level than the person who's a higher level.
So, using your example there, let's say we have a group of 3 level 5s and a single level 3. So a small group of 4 players. The level 5s, they get the 10 experience. Level 3 gets the 10 experience. However, because the level 3 is under leveled for the mission, they're getting a 50% boost to experience. So instead of 10, they're getting 15. Until they hit. That is in the rule set. Yeah, it's all good. It's like a small little bullet point, so it's easy to miss. But okay. It's listed in the rule set already.
That solves my problems.
Yeah, I believe it's called a high threat level. I'm just gonna bring up the name because I can't remember it. But let's see here. Experience. Here we go. Modifiers. High tier encounter. Yeah, you just. And then you have deadly tier encounter. So if someone is level 1 in a level 12 game, that encounter is 5 steps above their tier. Actually, that's probably more than 5 steps. They're probably just fucking dead. But a high tier hero tier encounter gives you 8 times experience. High tier gives you double. Deadly tier gives you times 4. So and then low tier. So if you're like working on things under your level, so if you're like level 6 and you're doing a level 3 mission, you're probably gonna get less. But that's in the guide, in the mission structure of the Living World document. But looking back at the chat, I'm scrolling down so I can post to things. Are you saying that if we were to have people come in at higher levels than 1, regardless if it's static or not, you'd want them to do it slower. So not just, hey, pop in you're level 3. You just want them to be given like an XP boost. That was you. You're the one who posted. I would be fine if the RP and Discord character had to level up slowly, either by time or like double XP. Because we already have rules for XP boost, so we can just, boost that further if like the overall world level is like 5 and we want people to level up quicker.
So the thing that I'm against is someone who just gets to come in with like a level 12 character later on, and their character just starts at level 12 on the Discord. As long as they like level up from 1 on the Discord 2, then I would be fine with whatever the static wants to do. Because what's going on in the static group is theirs.
1 to 12
but I don't think it's really fair for a character to just pop in at level 12.
If you're popping at level 1, you're never catching up to your level 12 party.
Yeah.
That's why you'd be level 12 in your static party, but like, I guess a separate XP tracker of what abilities you can use in Discord RP.
Why do...
That sounds like a massive headache, though I do appreciate where you're coming from, but the big
I mean, I'm just straight up against people forming cliques and not wanting to have other people join their groups when someone dies, but like, that seems to be what everyone else is for.
No, I'm for alternatives. I think that people should at least have an alternate for their static group, because if I do appreciate that we are going for static groups, but I think that mixing it up is a good thing.
Because it's a living
Please
world.
put this in the thread, Peppa Hands. I'm trying to keep the meeting moving.
Getting kicked out of your group just because you died is kind of a shitty punishment for dying.
It's extremely shitty.
It is. I mean, in a living world of like zombie apocalypse, that's 100% what I'm going to be doing. Actually, is if you're dead, you have to make a new character, and static is sad. But that's kind of the theme of that particular living world. This one is more of heroic fantasy. And I think this is going to, as Legacy's trying to get to, going to take up way too much time for what we have, and it's something we should be discussing probably in multiple weeks, because we don't need to even come to a decision on right now, because it's not going to be an issue until like level 12. Like even level 5, it's not really an issue. They can level up pretty quickly at level 1. But I mean, yeah, donation of experience could work maybe. There's many options, but I think, as Legacy's trying to get to, we have a particular time limit for the meeting, so we should table this for now. Keep it in mind, keep it in ideas, rumbling around in our heads. Go to the thread that was just made, and we can get back to it at a later point. Yeah, this is just a long-term discussion, because, like, there is concern for high-level play. And, like, players just dying at, like, level 12, and as a static group, you're, like, your friend who you've been playing with for, like, years or whatever suddenly dies, and you're like, oh, I guess you're out of the group now. It's a feels bad moment. But that's for other stuff. What's next on the agenda so we can keep on track?
RP lock.
RP lock.
Concerned players aren't recognizing they're not in RP lock at times, but also another concern that's been brought up is with a lot of longer term missions getting RP locked, there's a lot less people active in RP, and there's also a harm to the player driven market, which makes the 180% markup on things a lot harsher.
Yeah. I think an easy collapse solution right here would be, 1, explicitly stating that unless your DM says that you're in RP lock, you're not in RP lock. 2, discouraging the use of RP lock, because the guild sigils are things that can get you pop in, pop out as needed. Unless your mission is very specific, like you're in, like a survival setting, and then being able to pop out, get some food, and pop back in, and suddenly they're not surviving anymore. They're thriving. Yeah, in which case you can just say you have an inventory lock. You're good to continue doing RP stuff. So I think favoring inventory lock over RP lock, and even then only favoring it if it's going to be an impact on your mission.
Obviously, if you're in the middle of a boss fight, you can't exactly just up and leave.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
That's one thing, but there's
Okay,
been a
those
lot
two
of
conclusions look good. Need anything else?
longer term missions like Joki's mission. There's a lot of people kind of locked up and unable to contribute to like a player economy.
Yeah. Like, for my mission, I had them RP locked, but that's because I didn't want them to discuss the faction. But then players found out about it anyway, so I was like, yeah, fuck, you guys are free. So I left it
think
there
it was
lock.
Full Metal Limb, or is it Tim?
Yeah.
Talking about Dolder feeling a bit empty with all the RP locks.
Yeah. So I think just overall, just as a DM, if you've been running games, just ease up the RP locks. Yeah. Because the main purpose of the guild sigil is so they, no matter where they are, they can pop into the mission, pop out, do their stuff, pop into the mission, pop out, do their stuff. Basically, playing Fable. They pop in, pop
Basically,
out.
we just need some more clear guidelines to explain how people can move around. RP lock should be used more for when they're in an active combat situation or otherwise can't access 1-hour channel.
Yeah.
An inventory lock can be used for preventing meta funnies.
A very good way to use RP lock is if they're in a dimensional anchored dungeon, meaning that there's no teleportation allowed in that dungeon. Because the guild sigil is a teleportation effect. That is just like a clear cut, bam, you can't teleport, you can't use a guild sigil. So.
And on this topic, if it continues, that we're not getting a lot of player trading because they are getting locked for good reasons, we do need to look at the shopping costs.
I think if we are getting a lot of RP locks, we just have some RP events where we have NPC merchants show up and people can buy stuff that way.
Okay. Because now that people are getting money and starting to look at buy things, that 180 is looking a lot more scary. Which it's supposed to be and promote player trading, but when players can't trade,
it's also supposed to encourage people to actually have merchants and merchants to actually be able to do merchant stuff.
Okay, anything else for this?
Don't think so. It's mostly just a clarifier. What's next on the agenda?
Shelving pseudo-retiring characters.
I've seen it brought up a few times in the general of people just asking if they can basically put one off to the side. Yeah, basically like a hiatus.
A hiatus of a character or a hiatus of the player who then comes back with the same character?
there's two.
I think they mean the character. And I know like Sky asked me like if they can like retire Ty and like play their sister who would be like looking for them like storyline wise. So, and that kind of brought it up to where I said I have to bring this up because while they're talking more permanent retirement, I think of Ty, I could also see like eventually like a situation like that where they eventually find their goal and then they want to play the other character again or something like that. I don't like the idea of alts or anything like that. If we did have anything like that, I don't know. So I figured I'd throw it out there. Alts seem like they'd be a pain in the ass to track.
Yeah, I mean, hiatus is fine. Retiring while you go off on stuff. We already have a couple of requests for that. For alternative characters, I think unless it's something that is story derived, so like a DM has kidnapped your character and you need to you still need to play. Maybe that could work. I think this could also be a bigger discussion too. Probably making a thread for it as well. If we were to allow it, I'd probably say we'd want to have them spend some influence or something like that. Something a bit costly so they can actually have the alternative.
We'd have to watch for, item shenanigans too.
Yeah, it gets complicated. It gets into weeds.
There you go. Oh, now this character gets all the stuff. Like, so there'd be a whole bunch of shit to watch for with that.
Yeah. I would. Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, especially if you have an alt that's just like, I'm a crafter alt, I'm going to stay here and just spend all my downtime crafting money, and then my actual character alt is going to use all that money to then, do stuff with.
Oh, we would totally try to make.
So it can definitely have a lot of room for abuse here. I fucking doubt Sky is wanting to do it this way.
No.
It seems purely RP focused for them, and they're here. I'm sure they can attest to it right now, here and now, but thinking for the future, I can see people wanting to abuse it this way.
What other people would use it for?
Yeah.
My own army of paladins.
They were implying just regular retirement with it, but the situation that they brought up, I could see where if that came up with people that they could like accomplish their goal and then be like, okay, now I want my other character, because basically this idea of these retirement characters are kind of like I don't like this decision of this, so like they want like an alternative, kind of like, I mean, Kate, you got your fucking your one alternate class for that reason too, or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, our community is definitely pretty heavy power gamer from certain things.
Kind of, and I see this thing lighting up.
It's coming out a little bit, but I'm getting the gist of what you're saying.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I'm not implying like that's what Ty was saying or anything like that. With that idea, I just realized that, and I have seen in the last week or so people kind of bringing up that idea of like, can I like temporarily shelf this character?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
I think long-term discussion for this one. This is definitely gonna be something we'd want to discuss over a longer time. If it is on the table, I would say it'd have to cost some form of resource from your main character. So like influence or prestige, something that is they're expending to produce this effect. Or if it's something that we produced, so like their character being kidnapped, yeah, fucking fine.
Yeah, no, I'm good with Sky's idea for that. Like I'm down with that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, IRL time requirement can also work. Just and any RP character who is retired or quote unquote put on the shelf, their production of whatever that is just frozen as soon as they're back on the shelf. So if we are going to have alternatives, quote unquote, just to full on cut out the ability to just make money on the side and then give all that money to your main character.
Yeah, there should be no benefiting off of it at all. If anything, no.
Yeah. Anyone who's shelved, their assets are frozen when they're shelved.
Yeah, like no doubt.
And watch for giving it to the friends and shit.
Yeah.
Gotta have to watch people's inventories.
Yeah, no, that is bigger discussion, but I'd throw it out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, giving things to your friends is definitely everything. We already have people doing that. It's not a huge issue. It's just if someone is specifically playing, hey, I'm an adventurer, my character's taking none of the crafting stuff, none of the utility stuff, and I'm going to come in with an alternative who's doing only utility stuff, even as an adventurer, and I'm just going to fucking crank out money and then give that money to my friends who can then give it to my main character, that is an issue. That is basically duping in Diablo 2.
Yeah, and as Witches pointed out, that that also led to Tier 1 being awful for Tier 1 DMs.
Yes.
All those high level items going to people that shouldn't have had it, screwed with balance for all the Tier 1 DMs that just had monsters explode.
Yep.
Because these people had items they shouldn't have had.
Speaking of that, in the crafting update for enchantments, it's in the works. There is a level requirement on certain enchantments, which is not visible currently, but it is in the works. So that should help mitigate those issues we had in Verum in early levels, where suddenly they had like artifact level items at level 1. So, but, it's in progress. It's on the works. It's coming up. I just need to finish the structure stuff before I can get back to the equipment guide.
Okay, thread made with some benefits, issues, and current notes.
Yes. I don't remember what I wanted to bring up about it, but yes. I do know I mentioned this in question answerings I was doing in terms of the enchanting tools, wherein it is for the category. So if you know the fire damage enchantment, you don't just know like the apprentice or the common quality. You know all the things in the list. You know common to artifact if there's up to artifact. It's category based, not rarity based. I believe I've updated some of the wordings. Yeah, it's essentially spellbooks for enchantments, but if you can remind me what I specifically was wanting to discuss, that'd be very helpful, because I apparently have forgotten. Pretty much. Yeah, for example, let me just bring up the... Oh, I already have the equipment guide open, cool. If you're wanting to know the... I don't know, let's grab strength. If you want to know the athlete enchantment under the strength category, you would know the fine version of it, the excellent version of it, the 3 different superior versions of it, so minor very rare, and major very rare, as well as the I'm blind, the masterpiece version of it. So you'd have all of those different options. You just need to be able to produce the effect and craft it. Yeah, all faction benefits are currently on hold as we do the adjustments for factions. People can still join them, they just don't get any benefits. That, yes. That is a spicy thing. Because if we do that, that means artificers suddenly hot fucking commodities, and they can sell their craft for a lot of money. Which is kind of the point of artificers, but also might give them too much power.
Gives artificers access to all enchantments.
It does.
Off the rip.
Yep. Which is an issue for purposes of why I gave enchantments a particular book limit. So... I'm leaning towards yes, but there's a lot of reasons why no, so I want to hear people's opinions on this. On allowing Artificer's Essence Infusement ability to be used for the enchantment book.
I would say no, just because it's a different system than the Enchanter's tools in a certain way. It's the Artificer's kind of own method of doing it, and not something that would be easily replicatable within your own practiced way of doing it. I guess kind of like the sorcerer versus the wizard in terms of spells.
I'm going to say no, just because it would be a headache to try and balance it out mechanically. And not make other enchanters feel weaker.
Yeah. I think an easy way to do it would just be marking in the Artificer's Infusion ability, or Essence ability. The rune stones produced by this cannot be replicated through enchanting. Bam, boom, done.
Yeah, because I believe...
It's becoming a Philosopher's Stone, basically, of creation.
Mm-hmm.
I believe their essences are all wild essence anyway, so they just apply wild essence to everything.
Pretty much. It was in a suggestion forum post, I believe, and I touched on it, and I was like, I should touch on this further. But, yeah. Shit's spicy. And in terms of civs joining factions, yeah, they can join factions. As long as they hit the prerequisites.
It could be a faction trader.
Mhm.
Worship for that faction.
Maybe getting back to Legacy's list real quick. Suggestion box regulation improvements from Fritz.
Hello, that's me. I'll finally talk about it because I don't want to write it out.
That's fair.
So, what I've been observing in terms of the suggestion box has been a lot about the tone and behavior of certain people. I don't want to call anyone particular out, but as a general idea is that there has been a lot of different behavioral and a lot of aggression, I suppose, is the best way of putting it when in terms of certain subject matter. So I do want to curb that in the first place, get it down and mitigate it. So I will be changing the guidelines with Where about how to address that, get ahead of it. And one thing I have noticed is a lot of people tend to be approaching me directly about certain issues, problems, or things to resolve instead of using the actual mod report box. So I have heard from a lot of people it's been challenging to try to locate the different forms and the rules, so I say we should probably unify it somewhere, make it easier, more prevalent, and I do encourage and would like to ask everyone here to be doing the same as well. If you see any type of behavior that is unacceptable, out of the norm, to feel free to use the form or reach out to me directly to do that. That's it. Not as long as the people dying in long-term games.
Okay.
That's it.
Just keep an eye out then. Give some heads up, notice and whatnot.
If you need help getting anything done, let me know. I'll help you.
Not really. Mostly, probably there's a lot of. Well, anyway, this is more moderation talk, so this is more for offline things, so not a big deal.
Okay. I'm just saying, if you ever need help with anything, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, we can keep that in mind. No problem. Mm-hmm. I've updated the essence ability. What is next on the docket? Yeah, something on the docket, right? I'm pretty sure there was something else that you guys were posting. Just blind. Blood Mage, we did that.
A lot of people are just talking in the two long-term ones now.
Oh, people are just chatting in the... Okay.
It's happening a bit, so.
Sorry, I'm back. I just needed to clarify something.
Welcome back.
Languages, lures, and secret languages on the Lord Anvil, other documents, SAC, and then Q&A.
Got Nerp just asked to ping in Firehouse for that, so I did it.
Yep, yeah. That's still currently unread because I haven't done it yet, but it is something that is on my to-do list. Yeah, just mark the secret languages and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I had a druid, or not a druid. I had not a druid with druidic. That was interesting.
Yes, well, primal classes can take druidic. That is the restriction there for druidic. Druids just get it for free. So if you have a ranger or a barbarian, they can know druidic.
Alrighty, we're on open Q&A now. Anyone got anything they want to bring up? Let's go. Otherwise, we've got 20 minutes for leadership meeting after this to continue what we started last week with Dream here too.
All right, good stuff. Anything to bring up? I see Sky posting. Yeah, if they're trained in a primal class, they can take druidic. Yeah, Druidic is not as restrictive as it is in traditional D&D in Xeric. Druids might shank a bitch if they shared language, though. Oh, Socrates actually full on just class locked. He can't take Sakura. You need to be the speaker class to know that language. Or have the feat. Which is not viable, because I'm not making that feat until the class is viable.
That's on a long list of things we need to do.
Yeah.
Barbarian can read? Nah.
One of the things that, actually, before we get to the next thing, because it seems like we don't have too many people wanting to discuss stuff, I just remembered, we have a lot of people with a negative intelligence. And currently there's no actual penalty for a negative intelligence other than just being like, oh, I guess I don't really have bonus languages, and I don't really have to worry about, tools.
Like that in their character?
No. No, I've seen people who have been RPing without any real negative intelligence.
Well, then that
So,
needs to be addressed.
yes. So I think, first off, obviously having a 6 intelligence, you're gonna get killed if you roll 6 on a d6 in drain. They're gonna just fucking rest in peace.
They did it to themselves.
Yeah, they did that to themselves, yes. But I think, since obviously intelligence is such a dump stat right now, the bonuses that we have to it is not enough. I think to make more sense towards someone being actually not as intelligent, if they have a 6 or lower intelligence, we make it so they are illiterate, and they have to spend one of their languages to make it so they are now literate.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
We could do it Pathfinder wise and start subtracting languages from them.
That too.
I mean,
look, like you got 6 int. The only thing you know is common. Congratulations, that's it.
Common's usually the first thing that goes when you have low actually.
For the purpose of, again, you cannot take away common, because then you'd be sitting there literally not able to do anything for your character.
I mean, I don't want to say they can't know language, I just want to make it so they're literate, because having no languages is probably going to encourage people to then dump because they want the meme or they want the idea of yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna take.
It's really hard for people to play stupid. That's the problem.
Here's the thing. I think that people not having common is a great character choice, and more people should do it.
It's fun. Yeah, I think some
I make a low
changes to that.
I actually have that character do dumb things all the time.
Also, just I don't know, stop dumping stats.
I don't. People can dump their stats all they want. They're making their own bed when they come up to an enemy that will kill them.
See, I never dump
with one poke.
I make a balanced character.
Yeah. I mean,
Here's the thing.
that's
If
the
it
thing
does-
to point by.
If it does 1d6 int damage, you roll 2 6s, most characters are gonna fucking die anyway.
Yeah, if you roll 1/6 though with a single attack, oh boy.
Except that spellcaster over there with that 16 int. Yeah, he good.
How do you get rid of bulk on shield? You just reduce it with the crafting system. Pretty sure you have the ability to reduce it in the system for it.
Oh, one thing I did want to bring up. Everybody keeps talking about size to weight bonuses.
Size to weight bonuses.
So like in Pathfinder, when you're small, everything that is adventuring gears 1/4, and then your armor is 1/2.
In the update equipment
currently
guide, that's in there.
But are we currently using it?
I posted it for people to use so people can use it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a question Jokey posed in our last game because he used fat.
Yeah.
What did I do? Sorry.
You can reduce your weight.
Oh, my weight? Yeah, I need to figure that out. I need my sheets Fuck, I gotta figure that out.
Well, if the size thing is not on the newest equipment guide that's released to the public, it's in my edit doc. I just posted the actual section of that for people to read because it's kind of important.
Like that.
Yeah, but small creatures have 20%, 25% reduction in item weight. Large creatures have 100% more, an increase to their items weight. For things that are like specifically built for them. If it's just like a sword or something like that, whatever. Unless they were using a large size sword, which case.
I'm 42 pounds.
But like tiny creatures, they reduce it by 50%. I could increase the list and decrease the list. Right now, it only goes up to gargantuan and only goes down to tiny. I can increase that value further, but the likelihood of us getting someone who's colossal is unlikely, and the likelihood of getting someone who's diminutive is unlikely.
Unless you get that one 3.5 spell for that one class in there or something.
No, you can make diminutive.
That let them be gargantuan.
Okay, I should preface this. An innately diminutive creature as a player character.
I was gonna say you can get the reduce spell on a tiny creature.
Yeah.
You can make them diminutive.
Yeah. I feel like that point though, if we do have any innately tiny creature or innately diminutive creatures, I'm going to give them a massive penalty to HP because they just get poked by anything large and they're going to get squished.
For downtime days, we're almost done with the first downtime day distribution. Downtime days.
Nice.
Just through some things that I need you for into Firehouse and Legacy to send off one thing.
It's already for me in Firehouse.
Yeah,
Cool.
there's a couple things in Firehouse for you that we need you to handle for those. Then something in Legacy to send off. Then we're done with the first downtime day distribution.
Aha.
We also might want to start talking about the next time move forward.
Yes, I think when we finish the current downtime, I know Solidor is progressing pretty successfully. I think next meeting we can discuss this in more detail. But hopefully now that my new work schedule is going to be on, I can, help people out a lot more often because I will be working. I can actually help out while working instead of just getting home being like, and I'm sleeping.
A lot of regions should be getting an influx of people.
Yeah.
Just had to head over to Baracia directly from the Subsidy event.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, for the time jump, we can discuss that next week. Which means, hey, look, discussion next week. Anything else anyone would like to bring up before we conclude?
We got one more for RP events that need to be checked out by mods, but that's about it.
We have 10 to 40 minutes for our leadership stuff.
No, not progression. Discussing when we want to do the progression. Since we're don't have a lot of time right now, we can't do it right now, but discussing for the progression when we want to do the time jump will occur next week. So it's on the docket now. Yeah. For the laws I gave you, Legacy, since you've been doing like a fuck ton of work with Eldiria, feel free to grab that list and adjust it for Eldiria. They're probably less corporal punishment-y, I imagine. I didn't want to step on your toes though, so I didn't adjust it for Eldiria. For Alogus, it's in the works. I'll send it to your way, unless you want to work on that dream or earlobe. Just
wait, what? Sorry, I just heard my name.
The laws of our Logus, if you want to work on that. Otherwise, it's,
yeah.
Yeah, you can just grab the document I have for Baruja and just modify it for our Logus.
Okay. It'll probably be a little bit before I get to most of that stuff, just because I have 3 finals this week, so
Oof.
I'm gonna be very
no worries.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very busy until
good luck on your finals.
Sunday.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I chose to get promoted at work. That's now all I do is work.
All right, good stuff though. Good stuff.
And yes, for
indeed.
laws and stuff, Fritz made an initial foray into that, which I need to review more, and I'll do that together with a laws doc then.
Excellent. Yeah, but the Abruzia Law docs should help people out with just a basic overview of what it kind of looks like. So, and that was just my first pass. I probably can see some edits to it, but I figured it gets the job done well enough and gives you guys an idea of what Borussia kind of feels like law-wise for you, specifically Pi, since you're handling political. Yeah, I didn't want to be too harsh on some of them, so most like the things that would have been probably harsher, I just said here have a DTD limit instead of like removal of finger. I didn't have removal of fingers.
Have a discussion on what happens if someone can't pay a fine. And we went with caning and or lashings.
Yeah.
If you can't pay the fine.
Mm-hmm. That works. Max HP reduction, I believe. I remember in your chats.
Yep.
Yeah.
HP and influence reduction.
Mm-hmm. That works. All right. I would say for any influence reduction, cap the reduction to 0, so they can't go into the negatives from that
Oh, that's
reduction.
actually really clever. Influence reduction from shame.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Anything anyone else would like to bring up? Waiting for tippy tappies.
Looks like we're good to cap off the general meeting here. Let's get our 5-minute leadership meeting in.
Aha! Indeed. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Appreciate everyone showing up, all the help you've been providing, all that good stuff. I'm gonna close things off here with recording.